You ever wake up one morning, look out across your daddy's old ranch, and realize some folks just built their dreams right on top of what's yours? I mean, literally, not spiritual sense. Not. They took my legacy. I'm talking boots on the ground, Texas dirt, and a whole sparkling subdivision sucking up the water that runs through your land. Picture it 100 green lawns, fountains spraying like champagne at a wedding, and every drop trickling straight out of your creek. Now, if that ain't enough to make you spit your coffee, I don't know what is. See, I wasn't supposed to be here this long. Came back for a few quiet months. Wrap up dad's affairs, patch the fence, maybe chase off a coyote or two. But a man's got plans, and then the world laughs. I found a brand new HO, a certified pastel painted suburb. Cedar Mesa Estates had buried their pipeline straight into my creek bed. Didn't call, didn't write, just helped themselves. Like my land was a community potluck, and the only thing I'd brought was water. So I did what any reasonable son of a stubborn rancher would do. I shut it off. In the middle of a heat wave, mind you, which in Texas means the sun cooks you so good, you start questioning all your life choices. 342 homes suddenly dry as a preacher's humor. Sprinklers died mid spin, lawns turned brown by the hour, and you could almost hear the HOA president scream rolling down the valley like thunder. Now, Bethany Whitfield, picture a pastel tornado in heels, and attitude shows up at my porch, clipboard gripped like a weapon. "What on earth do you think you're doing?" she hollers, like I'd committed arson instead of minding my own tap. I told her dead honest, managing my water. She gives me that look all righteous and corporate. She's got rights, she says. Community infrastructure. Decades of tradition, the pipeline's been there for years. I just shrugged. You can check the county record. I own the creek. Oh. Her face turned a shade of red you don't find in nature, maybe just in cheap lipstick. I tried being polite. Letters, phone calls, even waited an hour in their marble floored lobby while some secretary pretended not to see me. They didn't care, so I closed the valve, felt the earth shudder, and watched their precious water fade from the ditches Dad used to hay. That was the first battle, and buddy, it was just warming up. The next few days, I'm waiting for the other boot to drop. Sure enough, the phone starts ringing lawyers, county officials, even the sheriff's office asking real sweet if I'd mind turning the water back on for the children. But you know what stuck in my craw, that none of them cared enough to ask whose water they were living on until it dried up. Funny how people only look upstream when the faucet stops working. Let me rewind for a second, set the stage for how this showdown really got cooking. See, when I first came back, the ranch felt smaller. Dad's old hat still hung by the door. Kitchen window looked out over the pasture, where I'd learned to drive, and the air had that honest cedar dust smell. Then, I get this envelope, white, thick, fancy gold letters. Cedar Mesa, HOA, welcoming me to the community, inviting me to a summer meet and greet. I laughed so hard my mom looked up from her knitting. "They want to own your well," she muttered, eyes sharp as ever. But curiosity's a stubborn itch. Saturday comes, heat hanging thick like syrup, and I roll up to their lakeside pavilion, cleanest jeans I own, dirt still under my nails. My old Ford looks like an insult parked between their shiny Teslas. Bethany's there, blonde hair, perfect handshake, cold as a banker's heart. She introduces me to their developer, Preston suit and tie, sweating like he's allergic to sunlight. "We'd like to purchase your property," she says casual as ordering a latte. Wants to turn it into a golf course, nature park, whatever. Offers me a number that wouldn't patch half the fence. "Ma'am," I say, that barely covers my feed bill. Her smile turns brittle. "It's always better to work with the HOA than against it." I'm thinking, honey, I'd rather risk the inconvenience. On my way home, I dig through Dad's old desk, 15 violation notices, all from the same HOA. Environmental, this water management, that. Dad scribbled no jurisdiction, keep for record on everyone. This wasn't a new fight. They just picked the wrong Remy to push. I called up Marcus Reed next day, old friend. Surveyor knows every inch of this valley. We went down to the south pasture, checked the fence line. Posts were two new soil freshly turned. They've been digging, Marcus says. We set up the tripod, pull out Dad's survey map. Turns out that shiny new pipeline was 27 feet inside my boundary. I followed the vibration under my boots, felt the low hum of their theft running right through my land. Took photos, GPS, everything. That evening, I rolled into town to see Sarah Coleman, attorney, high school friend, sharp as a mesquite thorn. She took one look at the evidence and said, "This isn't just trespass, Jake. This is theft." Told me to mark my boundaries, keep my head down, and let her handle the legal fireworks. I left her office breathing easier until the next twist landed. Next night, I catch the HOA's facilities manager, Brad Clipboard King, on my night vision camera, digging by the fence, boosting the pump. I record everything. Brad on the phone with Bethany says, "We're boosting the line 30% like you wanted." Red-handed. Sent it to Sarah, waited for the storm. Except the real storm was quieter, a rumor here, an inspector there, a gate rammed in broad daylight, red spray paint on my mailbox. Sell or dry? My mom just stood on the porch, hands trembling, said, "They think power is theirs because no one ever stood up." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "They're about to find out different." That's when I got serious. Drove to the county records office, musty air floors that haven't seen a mop since Clinton was president. Dave Wilson at the water board grinned when he saw me. "Looking for Mission Draw spring records, huh?" Turns out the spring feeding my creek was still registered for agricultural use, and the rights had quietly lapsed. Open for reassignment. I spent the morning signing every form they put in front of me, notarized, sealed, stamped. Remy Water Management, LLC. Just like that, I own the source. We installed a new valve, a beauty of a machine, could have come from NASA or Judgment Day, hooked up to a remote control. 3 days later, when the heat hit 103, I pressed that button. Down in the canyon, the water slowed to a trickle. Cedar Mesa's fountains sputtered and died. The HOA blew up texts, calls news crews, residents lining up at my gate with signs, "Water is a right." Bethany rolls up with a crowd, and a megaphone accuses me of holding the neighborhood hostage. I filmed the whole thing, let her rant. Then, clear as day, one of her own, Mike Hansen, calls her out. "What about those water fees, Bethany? You said we'd have water independence." Her face went white as a ghost. The news caught it all. Bethany stumbling, residents turning, the real story trickling out. That night, I uploaded every piece of evidence, the pipeline, the late night dig, the phone call. Sent it to Sarah, told her, "Let's go public." Next morning, the city called an emergency mediation. The courthouse was packed, mayor, attorneys, residents. Bethany's lawyer claimed they had an easement signed by my dad. Sarah slid her own document across the table. A forgery, notary retired, years before, seal photocopied. Then, the mayor's man flipped on the projector spreadsheet. After spreadsheet, water fees paid by homeowners all funneled into a shell company run by Bethany. The room erupted. The mayor slammed his gavel, stripped the show A of water control, and handed it to a city-appointed board. Bethany tried to talk tough, but the fight was drained out of her. "You only survived because no one ever fought back," I told her. "That part's over." You'd think that was the end, right? Not even close. 3 days later, a certified letter, State Environmental Protection Division. All water flow to be suspended pending investigation. Some Inspector Thomas Green said he found chemicals downstream. Sarah tracked the purchased solvents bought by Bethany delivered to her house. Sheriff showed up with a warrant, found everything. Green's reports were fake paid for with Bethany's money. Justice turns out is slow, but it runs true like a creek that knows where it's headed. After all that, Cedar Mesa's board resigned. New folks came with apology and a real contract offered to help restore the creek, pay what they owed. I told them, "You don't owe me, you owe the land." And slowly the valley healed. Kids planting trees, grass, growing backwater, running honest for the first time in years. And here's the kicker, the moral that took me a lifetime to learn. Maybe longer to accept. You fight for what's yours, not to punish, not to humiliate, but to restore balance. Water remembers, land forgives, but neither ever forgets. The fight wasn't about revenge. It was about making things right for Dad, for me, even for them if they're willing to learn. Now, sitting here with the creek running, true, the sun setting fire to the sky, I gotta wonder how many times does justice get mistaken for vengeance, and how many folks only learn the truth when they're thirsty enough to taste it. So tell me, if you were in my boots, would you have stood your ground too? Drop your story, your opinion, heck, your own battle scars in the comments. Let's talk about justice, about land, about what it means to finally have enough. Because around here, stories like these, they never really dry up.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.